Hey everybody, welcome back to On the Grid, and this is part 2 of the circuit. And in this video we're going to take a look at what we learned in part 1 of understanding the track's characteristics, how to best navigate the track, and now we're going to tune the car to better respond to those conditions. I did make some notes based on what we went through in the last video, and so really when it comes down to it, Suzuka, you need to find a very consistent flow, because if you go offline, say for example through the S's, then your next sector is going to take a hit, and then it just becomes this chain reaction where you're constantly trying to catch up and gain that time in each sector. And this is what I love about this track, because when you get hooked up on it, it feels great, it feels phenomenal. So we need to find the balance that we have a car that is responsive, but at the same time it's stable enough to deal with both the tighter sequence of turns like through the S's, the hairpin, but also with the longer flowing part of the circuit through 130R and through the start finish straight. But that's why I said in the first video that this track is a great learning track, because it has so many different elements to it that you really need to find a great balance. Now obviously, going from a Formula 1 car to a GT car to a touring car, they're all going to react differently, and you need to adjust based on that. That's why go through the lap a couple of times, kind of figure out how the car is feeling, how the car is responding, and then you take all the notes that you made from the first track. And some of us will just jump into a game, just want to race, just get out there. But then there's others who, we want to spend a bit more time and learn more about the car, learn more about the traits of a car on a track and finding that best combination. So for me, I love that. I like to just get in and, not even worry about racing, just spend time driving a track a bit slower and then going back into my tuning menu and making small adjustments. I'm not one to over-tune a car, because I think it's the small, minor little adjustments that can make enough of a difference to gain time here and there. This is kind of how I approach learning the car that I pick on the track that I'm in, and just trying to find the balance that I can get as much out of the car as I can. Let's go over into in the tuning menu and look at what we need to do before, and then we'll get out on the track, do a lap, and then we'll do a race as well. Okay, a couple of things. The camber is one that I find is going to be, quite helpful. And what I did notice in the last lap is I got a bit too much heat on the inside. So maybe there's a bit too much camber. Having a little bit less camber so you can still hook it up through the S's, but you don't want to overheat the tires. So I don't want to drop this off, because I did notice on the last lap that it was my front right that was getting too hot. Holding the right button on my mouse to adjust just this side. So we'll bring that one down to say 3.1. We'll just nudge it down and we'll see how it goes. We'll actually get that one up a little bit. So we'll do that at 3.2. Now the anti-roll bar, in some of the corners I found it that I was really struggling a bit to get the car to turn in. So maybe I'll just soften up the anti-roll bar just one notch, well actually 2 notches. We'll just soften up that anti-roll bar in the front only for now, and we'll see how that feels. But this track is not overly hard on the brakes, but there are sectors like the hairpin, of course, and turn 16, which is the final chicane before you go back out on the straight, because you're going flat out and then you're going hard on the brakes into those 2 corners. You don't want to lock it up. I think the best thing to do is let's reduce the pressure a bit. Obviously, depending on your wheel setup, I have the Clubsport pedals V3, so I can adjust the pressure. But rather than adjusting the pressure on my wheel that's a global adjustment, I'll do it in game. So let's reduce that, say to, we'll leave it at 98. It's not going to make a huge difference, but maybe, let's throw it at 96 and we'll start there and we'll work our way back up. I don't think I need to adjust the brake bias. I think the brake bias is pretty fine there. Tire temperatures. There's a lot of pressure in Suzuka because you're changing direction so much, especially through the S's. I mean, that will destroy your tires if you don't have the right tire temps. So, going left, right, and then going through Dunlop, and you have this constant left, and then the same thing through 130R. There's a lot of areas in the game that will put a lot of pressure and can degrade your tires quite rapidly. Normally, when you want to have more of a responsive car, you're going to increase the temps a little bit. You don't want to do it too much. So let's, nudge this up 1 notch in the front. And we'll do the same thing in the back. Where are we here? We'll nudge that up one notch there. driveline, I didn't find that I was losing stability in the car. I just found it was a little bit difficult to turn into some corners. So maybe my preload, I can, reduce that a little bit. And what's nice about this is when I go to save the setup, and even here, if I go setup as change, it shows me what changes I made. And that's what I love about this. You see highlighted in red, those are where I made adjustments from the default. If we go in here and we want to save this, we'll save this current setup. I'll just title it test. So now when I go back in here, this tells me that I made changes in the anti-roll, brake pressure, the camber, the preload, and the tire pressure. So it's a really great reference when you go back in to make any adjustments. And I think we're good. All right, so let's take a run with this initial setup and see how it responds. I do notice that it's going to top out, so I need to adjust the drive line, the final gear ratio, to get a bit of a higher top speed. It does feel, it does feel responsive. Able to get in there. It's maybe still a bit much camber though. We'll take a look at it when we get back into the garage. Just build up our speed here and see how the temperatures on the outside are responding. Alright. Yeah, they're warming up nicely. They're getting to the right temperatures, but it's still a bit tough. I'm getting a bit of understeer into some of those corners. I'm having to ease off. And it's okay if the temperatures increase a bit too much, but as long as they cool back nicely, I mean, as long as they drop and don't stay, in high 90s and get red. Yeah, I'm topping out there, so. It's not as skittish as it was with those little adjustments. All right, let's jump back in the garage. Actually, first thing I want to do is make sure we get that drive line or the final gear. Let's get that up. We are getting a little bit heating, so let's drop that to 3 and this at 3.1. And I do want to make the fast bump. Yeah, we'll bring that down. Yeah, 1 nudge. You want to be careful. You're not over tuning. I mean, sometimes it's good to make these adjustments and then save it, do the default tune, check that out and see if you've actually made, improvements over what you initially had. And one other thing we want to do is let's reduce these tire pressures, because I think it was better to have these tire pressures at what they were originally set at, because I think it is, with the changes in the camber that I made, I think it might be overheating a bit too much. And we do need to make an adjustment to the camber in the rear. We'll just drop those 1 as well. So I think, yeah, let's get out there and try a hot lap and see how it goes. It's feeling better through there. Good. It's more responsive for sure going through these S's. See how it handles with the temperatures going through Dunlop. Yeah, they seem to be holding up. Yeah, as long as we keep the temperatures, around 85, 86. Now the spoon and 130R will be the test for those tire temperatures. Let's go, hook up. There we go. Yeah, they did increase, but that's normal for that sector, for them to temperatures to rise up. I'm not topping out here, so that's good. That front right is still getting a little bit hot. But I think it's coming together. The fronts are a bit hotter, but you know, there is a lot more pressure on this car. Okay, so increase that brake pressure. Rear wing, we're gonna just bring that down 1 because it might be getting a little bit too much angle on that. You know, obviously we can't adjust the front one, but we can reduce a little bit of the pressure from the rear. So we're good. Let's save this again. Make sure it does save. Let's do a race, and we'll see how this handles in a race situation, because obviously you can do setups for quali, for practice, for a race, but I tend to do a setup more based on a race. So let's get out and we'll see how it handles. Okay, here we go. 3-lap race on Suzuka. Done all the adjustments I wanted to do up until now. I'm just hoping this holds out. We'll see how the tire temps do. I mean, it's obviously it's going to be different because I can't take my ideal line or, you know, go on the line that I was doing as, you know, setting up the car, but I just want to make sure I can balance the car going over these curbs, going through the S's, up into Dunlop. Oh, I was not expecting that. Had to take a wider line, obviously. These AI, you know, if you put them on full, they'll give you a run for your money for sure. Normally I would be a lot wider in there, but he's right on me. He's not letting me go at all. The tires are holding up, and the temperatures are getting there. Obviously I won't. Oh, I was going to try and go in there. No. A bit too anxious there. I need to ease up a little bit. I'm just getting a little bit too excited here, trying to overtake too soon. But that front right, yeah, that front right's starting to heat up. I think it's gonna, I think I might need to do a few more adjustments. We'll see how it is through here, through 130R. I'm really loving this AI. This AI, oh, it almost took me out again. Oh yeah, my brakes are hot, you can see them. So that's where it really tests your brakes, going into turn 16. You can see the brakes were glowing there. All right, lap 2. Temps are almost up. Yeah, I'm liking it. I'm liking the handling. I might need to do a few more little tweaks here and there, but this is where I'm going to see. I'm going to ride these curbs a bit more. I'm going to get right up on them like I usually do. Look good through there. Let's see if I can get this into the turn here. Right up on the curb. I felt good. Try and get these guys. Oh, he almost slipped out. Now's my chance. I'm going to take him on the left. I'm going to go. Oh, you look at him. He's squeezing me off. Don't tell me the AI are not smart here. They know what they're doing. All right. You're not going to get me this time, man. This is mine. Oh, took that little wide. Alright, here we go. Up in the curves. All the way up. That's it. That felt good. That's good. Still getting a little bit of understeer through there. Yeah, that front right's starting to heat up. I know you can't see it, but it's starting to get a little hot. I might need to do a further few adjustments on the camber. Maybe the tire pressure there. Just the front right. I'm going to take him here. Here, this is the line I'm talking about. This is what I always do. I go in tight. He has not really much of a choice, but oh, he's going to try and undercut me there. He just banged me there. He almost took me out. This is mine. Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with this. This setting is good. Alright, so yeah, that's a race around Suzuka. Did some, you know, a few adjustments here and there with the camber, the ride height, the tire pressures, the brake pressure. You know, your drive line, you need to make sure that final gear is up so you don't top out going down the straights. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. I love doing this with the tracks, testing them out. And so if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below and I'll get to them. But just wanted to go through my workflow of learning a track and getting a tuning setup done for one. And until next time, take care.